Alright, I've been working on these cases here, getting them cleaned up. I haven't worked on this thing for about 2.5 days now. So I'm back to my time again. We're at 9 o'clock at night again. Time for me to work on my junk. I had to order up a new seal. The problem with these seals are is they don't contact anything. So I don't know if you can see in that little small little lip right there on the edge. That's all of this thing hits on. There's no mark on this thing because it wasn't hitting on the face of the seal. On the spacer it should be, it was only on the edge. See how this edge is polished slightly right here? It's just on the corner. That's the only thing that was contacting the seal. And it looks like it probably had a spring on here and it's gone too. So I took this out of this piece here. So this is a brand new one here. You can see how it's got a spring in the back side of it there. That puts a little tension on it. Now when this thing's brand new, it's got something to push against, but still not much. It basically sits flush with the inside edge, which means the seal basically hardly does anything. This is below the surface right now, so when you get all the way down flush, obviously it can't be flush. You can see how the seal is just about on the edge of the spacer there. So these seals don't really do much at best. What they need is a double lip seal, which they don't make for this size. If you turn it down to a 1 5/8 instead of 11/16, you can get a double lip seal with a spring. But then you cut this down to the point where there's no contact on the bearing. Here. So, I don't know if you can see right how little. See, the bearing's not this thick here. It only hits right here in this flat spot right over here on the edge. So this much here is not being used, that whole rounded part. When you put this thing on top, there's not much contacting. You can see how it's only a little bit of this area. See, only about that much. Oop, right there. When you pull over, you only got like double that is what you see. Now if you cut that in half, you're going to only have a quarter of what you actually see here for contact. So basically you're going to have less than half of what this is on the outside, which you're going to have for sealing, not for sealing, for pushing against this bearing, which is not really enough. So there's no good option for a good seal is what I'm saying. So that's a problem I just found out. So these being smooth on the outside edge doesn't really do much because it doesn't really contact on there. So yeah, that's the whole problem. Alright, I got the cases all blasted. I painted the steel parts the other day. I've been blowing off all the beads and stuff out of here for a while, all the chips in the bottom of the holes. A lot of chips down these holes coming up. So, right now it sounds a little rough when you do that. So I'm going to go ahead and file the parting lip there to get the high spot off so it won't be so gritty. So you can see how the beads in here chewed up the surface here a little bit. So I got to get rid of that. Move that down a little bit. So we're going to take our fine file here. Clean off all these high spots. Good. Do this one. Well, this file has a smooth side on the back, so you can rub against the machine lip here. It doesn't hurt it any. I'm pushing basically just with my thumb. Right on that edge. And you keep the face flat, you just knock off the high spots. So you can see the shiny spots here and there. Those are the high spots. Not many of them, but a few. Okay, let's see. Should have a nice dull sound now to it. See how the case walks all over the place? The register is not really the right size. So are these mismatched cases, or are they the same number? They have the same number on them, they look original. But they're not cut very tight for register. I think they're fairly clean now. They rub on against each other. They're not too bad. Alright, ideally you want that to be a nice push-in fit, but it isn't. So that means your bearings can shift around, not be square to each other. You can get big lips up here in the deck so it doesn't seal very well. So all kinds of things can go wrong. Okay, I've blown this out a lot of times in here to get all the beads and stuff out. I've done it 3 heavy times of blowing on it and soaking on it and getting all the crap out of there. So hopefully it's all out, but we'll find out. I'm going to push it apart and find out. In this case over here, blew a lot of crap out from one of these stud holes here. You can see how the crack goes all the way across here, all the way across over to here. And now it might be going up to here right now too, I'm not sure. I don't recall it going uphill when I looked at it before, but it might be going uphill. In which case it's going to go through the whole deck and you have a problem. But right now, it is what it is. So I blew all this stuff out. Now we do have a crack going this way also. Now when you blast the cases, you have this hole right here. And it blows over to the base down here in the bottom of this, way down in there. At an angle. It drills through here. And so you got this area that's the width, the height of my finger, that collects crap down in here. Now the only way to get that crap out is to go in here and drill this thing out and then replug it. Now I blew it out as much as I could. I'm not getting no more grit out of the hole in here, so I'm going to leave it. I ain't got time to screw with it. So I think I got most of the grit out. Now we still got to get that broken screw out of there. I've already helicoiled up the bad holes on the case here. Just double checking. Yeah, it looks good. So everything's all blown off really good, and I painted the steel parts. I wanted to machine this surface here flat also, because I don't think it's that flat across here. The bead blasting kind of high, but you can see how it's kind of smooth. Smooth means it's not flat. Obviously this has got issues. Alright, so that's what we're machine. This here I'm going to go ahead and push out the bearing race so I can see how much grit is still in here, because I want to make sure there's no grit. This one here, the snap ring's on the outside edge, so you just push it straight down, and everything comes out at one shot. On the later cases, the snap ring's in the middle. This race comes out this way, the other one goes out the other way. So they changed in '69. So this is the early case, being 57. Okay. Let's go over here and find the part that's going to work. Looks like that one will do the trick. Alright. Push on that, shove it out, see what we get. Alright. The old tripod out. Everybody's favorite except mine. Alright, we'll put the camera right here so you can see a little better. See what we get. you smell burnt oil, that means it's not perfectly clean, right? Garbage cans in there. Yep. Over here's where we're working though. Okay, so run your finger across it. See what comes off. No grit. So what happens is it collects on the in the groove right here, which is our oil gallery. So you want to make sure there's no grit in here. So it looks pretty clean. I feel no grit. Rub all around. Feel for grit. If there's no grit, that means you had it clean. Okay. I smell burnt oil, but it's clean. Alright, so I know I got it all out. So that's a plus. And I'm going to have to find me a little bit bigger arbor here to push on. Push this bearing back in. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and push this all right back together again. This one I didn't quite push all the way out yet. So we're going to shove it all the way back in. Now these cases are strong enough you just push here and not worry about supporting it, but so you don't have to support it like you do on a twin cam where they're weak as hell and they split because they're junk motors. So just go like this and shove it on in. When it hits bottom, stop. Put your spacer back in. Put your bearing back in there. When it quits moving, stop. Otherwise you do break stuff. Alright, so there it's all back together now. It's all the way against our snap ring in here. So this case is pretty well good. I'll give it one more final cleaning. Even though it looks nice and clean, we're going to give it one more just to make sure. This motor mount's been cut quite a bit here. Look at that. It's a big cut was on that for some reason. Hard to believe that's stock. Well, we'll compare it to the other case. It should be the same height. I think it was the same height. I think I checked it before. Well, we'll double check. Didn't hurt to double check. Flatten out one side. And look at this side. Yeah, it looks straight. So you want a straight edge down there like that. And it should sit flat. It does. Now if you tighten your motor mounts down real tight, you don't have problems with these things coming apart, getting loose. Tight bolts don't have problems, loose bolts do. Okay, so this case is pretty well good to go. Looks like I'm going to give it one more final cleaning. Pretty good. It's pretty clean now, but we'll give it one more. This needs some work. I got to get the broken parts out of here. So we got to get this this plug out of here. So let's see where all my parts are at. Should be an idler shaft floating around there somewhere. There we go. Well, maybe that's why it's has a problem. Remember I couldn't find that tight cam cover problem? I mean, where the crank was tight until I loosened up the cam cover. See how this is all black? And this is seized onto our shaft, which means it doesn't move. So maybe this thing was pinched tight in here with the gear, wherever it ran off to. I don't see the gear right now. There it is. See how it's all nice and smooth there. So see, this side wasn't tight. This side here was. See how it's all polished. Sounds smooth, doesn't it? See the difference? Smooth, rough. So this side is probably in there like this. Anyway, it looks like this here was pinched tight. Did not have enough room. So basically the spacer stuck itself to the shaft and burned itself up. They're not supposed to be tight like that, so I'm not sure why they... Yeah, you can see it backwards. Smooth side was the case. This side was here. See how it's all black here on the side of the gear? That's why this is all rough. Yeah, it's all torn metal right there. You can feel it. Got a real sharp lip on that thing. So that's what happened. That thing was stuck in there solid. This was pushing real. The cam cover pushed against the gear, which pushed against that. And then at some point it galled itself all up, and then the shaft started spinning free, I guess. So that was one of the problems we had. No clearance. So I think this gasket surface has been cut down because we're seeing evidence of stuff being tight. Alright, so I need to smooth up this surface here, which, let's go back and grind this off a little bit, hit it on the grinder, on the surface grinder, and pop it. That'll smooth up and thin it. This here I'm going to have to push this apart because obviously it's stuck. So we're going to go play with those things right now. Then I got to come back and try to get this darn thing apart. It's going to be fun. Alright, go work on these two things. First thing we're going to do is push this thing up. That should come off relatively easily. Now I don't want to push it over the bad. I don't want to push it over the good part of the gear shaft we're going to use, so I'm going to push the shaft out of the bushing this way. Still tight. You see all the gold metal right there? It's all stuck on there. So I have to push this out with something smaller. The bolt probably work good. Official pressing tool. Looks like a a 1/2-inch bolt, I'm going to guess. There it goes. Oh yeah, you can see how it's nice and chewed up. Okay, so we're going to have to clean this up. We're going to have to clean this up. All that just to make it work again. And we still got to come up with enough in play when we're all done. So we might have to do some extra work to do that, because I was going to cut the case, remember? That's going to make it worse, not better. Okay, this piece we don't need right now. We'll leave it there. Heading to the grinder. Back in a dark dungeon back here. There we go. Okay, another bike. 67 shovel. A friend of mine's working on that. I ain't got time to. We'll let him do it. It's his bike. So first thing we're going to do is grind this here a little bit, flatten it out. Nice flat surface. More on this one. Lower RPM to get less heat and easy more control. It is starting to warm up though. It's getting a little hot on my fingers there. Alright, good starting point. Okay, now I'm going to get this ground down a little bit. Smooth up the gear face just for the hell of it. Still got sharp edges on there. Grind out a little bit. This grinder. Put a nice radius right there. Now you don't do that for this surface because it's not flat. Unless that's all you got. You gotta be careful. You see how it's got metal pushed all over the top of the bushing. Do that a little bit more. Just metal on my thumb right there. Injected myself. Still got metal in there somewhere. Yep, feel it. What they make these tools right here for. It's for digging crap out of your body. Among other things. Appears to be a hole in there. Oh yeah. It's got a nice chip in there too. That a piece of metal. Got me. I feel like there's more of it in there. I think there's another piece in there still. Yeah, who knows? It might be. Oh yeah, there's something in there. Yep, another big chunk of it. There's a big piece there, see. I think I got it that time. You can tell when it's out, it won't hurt no more. It's weird how it always hurts when there's something in there. Once you get it out, it doesn't hurt anymore. It's almost like your body knows there's something not correctly in there. You wouldn't think it'd make any difference after you ate it all up with that, but it doesn't hurt anymore. Oh well. Alright. So I gotta get this stuff out of here. So now I'm going to pick the loose metal out of here. Instead of using my thumb to do it. Let's see if anything else will come out of here with my pocket knife. Doesn't appear to want to come out. And we don't want that in our motor. So if you push the bushing out, the metal will come out with it. Deburr and push the bushing back in it. That's how you get it out. That way you know there's no loose metal in your motor. I don't like loose metal in my motor. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, back. I went ahead and marked the bushings so I can put it back in the same spot. So hopefully it'll repeat the diameter it is. I'm going to check to see how loose it was though. Oh, it's nice and loose. Perfect. Shouldn't be a problem. So I got two bushings. I got a real small one. That's probably just going to barely get the bushing out. And I have a bigger one here which will push it out probably about the same size as the gear, just so I can flip it over. We'll see. I'll try to push it down. And I'm going to push it from the good side to the bad side so all the bad metal goes out instead of getting it jammed in the bushing hole. You always got to look to see what kind of damage you're going to do to your parts when you're working on them. Once you go in a little bit, make sure the tool is loose in the hole. It is. So now I can go ahead and push it straight through and not worry about it finding up on there. Okay, now I got that out. You can see some loose metal tearing up. So I'll go back and give that a light grind right there to put a little chamfer like it is on this side. That'll get rid of all that burned up metal. Now you put the bushing back in it. That's why we have our bucket down here with our old inner tube in there and foam padding material. It catches your stuff so you don't lose it and doesn't damage it. So there's our mark, you can see it. So I can duplicate, ooh, a big piece of metal stuck right there, look at that thing. It's stuck onto the, it's welded itself to the brass, burnished it onto it. Okay, so I got that chunk of metal off of there. Okay, so that's a clean bushing now. I'm going to go back and grind this off. I'll be back. Alright, got that all cleaned up. Very hard. Makes a lot of sparks for the carbide. Not good for your carbide cutter, but oh well. Put a nice chamfer in there. So that's ready to go back together. So we got all the metal off of this. Should be good. So there's our mark. Line up our two marks here. Go back in. Now the reason you want to do that is because every hole is not quite round and every bush is not quite concentric. So put them back in the same spot. They should basically be about the same diameter. That isn't always true, but it helps. See how close I got it back on the mark? It works again, see? It's still pretty tight, like it's supposed to be, so it's fitted. So, instead of buying a new piece of crap aftermarket gear, we saved our stock one. Stock ones are pretty much always good. Okay, now this here, I either gotta get another shaft, or I gotta fix this one. Now the part that matters is right here, it's good. The part down here is good also, goes in the case. This up here don't mean squat because it's just a spacer. So the spacer and this has got to be worked over. The shaft itself is still good. Obviously the bolt is not, it's broken, or the screw. It's trash. So we move on to the next parts. Gotta work on this. Alright. Go We can put our junk away. Keep putting your tools away. You can always find them again. That's kind of important. It helps to have all your tools. Alright, so this is good to go. This needs to be worked on. So we got our hone over here, which will do part of it. Which will be this part. This one over here needs to be done with a different hone. That's down below. That'd be way down here. One of these. That looks like about the right size. That one there. Appears to be dark. Let there be light. Okay. First thing we gotta do is get ourselves a relatively fresh file to work with. Relatively not worn out completely. Find something that's got a little bite to it. These are debatable on which one has more bite. This one has lots of bite. It'll cut a lot too, so we can do that. Okay, I need a little oil. We got everything we need. You've got an extra hand. Don't need. Alright, go over to our nice clean lathe. See, here's where I walk my bare feet down there. That's why it's clean right here in my bare feet. Kept it clean. Always like that for some reason. Okay, so we're going to put the good part in the lathe and the bad part we're going to work on. Put the chuck jaw right on the good part. The good part ends right there in the black spot, so I'll try to keep off the good part as we work on the bad part. Obviously we don't want the bad part to interfere. Okay, so this is our smooth one. It's got the most bite right here on the edge, so we're going to use that. Be pretty hard. Most of it's knocked off. Okay, I'm going to take our external hone here. I'm going to sacrifice a little bit. This doesn't have to be very smooth, but I like my stuff nice, so I'm going to do a little bit. Flip it over, hold a little bit of it. Off just a little bit of it. Around. Part I don't want to cut. Oil on it this time. Doesn't appear to be very round. See how it's worn way down right here, high here, high here. It's oval shaped. See, a hone does not follow the existing shaft. It cuts straight and true. So it'll show all the bad spots. So you can see the bad spot as it rotates. Over here where it was good, see how it's nice and round. A little bit of low spot through there, a little gouged up area. Pretty clean. So we have a lot of wear on the shaft right here. You can see it. Well, that's an idler shaft. It'll work. If you measure, you probably see a little bit of roundness on it. Okay, now we can go get the other part. Gonna hold on it a little bit. Go to the other side. Next tool. Alright, put tools away. Now we got to work on this piece here. Still doesn't go in there. This is probably going to be pretty far out around. Make sure there's no sharp edges to cut me because I'm going to have to hold on this with my hand. I'd rather not put pliers on because it chews it up. So we'll sacrifice our hand a little bit. We're good with that. We like sacrificing around here. Blood in the game. I already poked myself, but I'm not bleeding yet, so that don't count. Okay, we gotta find our arbor we're gonna use. Appears to be this one right here. That takes an adapter. Stone to use. What number is that one? 95. 7. I'm going to use the coarse one. I'm going to try to hone this thing. Now. So now you got a nice rough finish in there. Fits over the bad part of the shaft and no problem. Oop, drops easy too. So now it fits on there nice and smooth. It's got a little clearance. See how it moves back and forth. And I got the rough ass finish on it, so it'll hold oil in there too. Until it breaks in. And I hate rough ass finishes. So we'll put the fine stone in there. Knock it down a couple of marks. knock off the high spots. Alright. Clean this up, we'll be back. You can see how it looks like. Okay, we're back. Okay, that's all on there now. Looks like a champ. See, that's a little bit finer finish in there now. So I don't like rough ass finishes. Okay, so now let's go back on there like it's supposed to. So now there's a high spot. What happened? It's still a little bit high. Yeah, it's not happy in there at all. High spot on that. Burnishing the gear in. Instead of holding the bushing, I'm fitting it right now. There. So now I used to have a tight spot. Yeah, it's still got a tight spot. Right there is where it locks up. Something on the end of the shaft here binds it up. Oh, almost dropped it. I think I catch that, did you? Yeah. Tight spot in there still. I don't like that. I don't like tight spots. Yeah, it's somewhere up in the top there's where it does it. Now this spot's not tight, it goes right on there. It's only our bushing's got the tight spot on it. But it still goes down. Once it's down to where it runs, it's loose. So I'll live with it. I don't like it. If I had more time, I'd do it all over again. But I need just to hone this a couple more passes here and knock off whatever the high spot is. But it's good enough. Okay, now I got to get this thing to go into here. Like that. Get our case center, we got to punch this hole out. Get that broken screw out. And start getting this motor ready to go back together again. Alright, we're heading over to the mill.